edition of Comics Cast. Let it out. We've been away for a little bit. September was a pretty busy month for me, and I got hit with a nasty stomach flu. But I'm back to 100%. And today, it's I'm so happy to be well because I have a tremendous guest. I'm so happy to have him on the show. But before we get to that, I just want to, for those new viewers that are watching the show, just give a little FYI in terms of what Comics Cast is. Comics Cast is all about the indie creator. So if you're in the indie industry and you're a penciler, a inker, a author, publisher, you name it, if you are in the indie community, we want you on the show. We want to get eyes on you. And Let It Out is just one of those other vehicles. It's a show like today, where we have a guest or maybe a team, artist inker or a storyteller and their artist. In this case, just one artist. But we basically tell your story, your creative journey, and we want everybody to know you and know our guest. So that being said, today's artist, he goes by the moniker, the artist named Lobos. He hails from the great state of Texas. His story is a great one. In the short time I got to know him during the pre-show yesterday, just a great all-around guy. But I discovered his artwork through social media, and he's a rising star. And when we get to hear his creative journey and to see his artwork, you'll know what I mean in terms of him being that rising star. He's going to be a household name, and you're going to be seeing big things from him throughout the remainder of 2022 going into 2023. So that being said, let's get the show started. So here we go. Comics Cast, Let It Out. Let's go. Woo! That bumper never gets old. It definitely hypes me up. And I am so hyped because today I have Lobos. Lobos, say hello to everybody.
Hi.
He's such a humble, a man of few words, but I gotta tell you, when you see his artwork will speak volumes. We got a few people already that are chiming in here. Let's pop up a few comments here. Alpha Brain Art Studios, which is Rod Rodolfo from Brazil. We're gonna have some international representation here in the comment fields. He says, "Hey man." So we also have another mainstay here on Let It Out, Arelis, and she is a New Yorker that moved to Texas. So I'm not exactly sure what part of Texas, because that is a big state. She might be your next door neighbor. I don't know, but Arelis saying hi. So we have Texas represent. And then we got here Lobos. Is that?
That's my little girl.
Oh, you got your little girl. So little mini Lobos. So Lobos is there watching along. And so Arelis, Texas yeehaw, we got that in there. And your dad, and now that I know that it is your daughter, hey, hi dad. So I'm glad that she's here on the show, watching her dad go to work here. So and Arelis saying Selena, she's in Selena. So I don't know how far that is from you. Is that close to?
Don't
know. You're in Houston, is that correct?
Yes.
You're in Houston. All right.
We also have from Corpus, the singer.
Yeah. I mean, that's what things. Texas is a big state. And also we have David Whalen from Correct Handed Comics, who's also here. Thank you. I'm glad to be back, and I'm especially happy to be back because I have Lobos here. So we actually got quite a few former guests, Lobos, that were on the show that are creators themselves that are chiming in here to watch you and to learn about you. So I'm thrilled to have you here. Let me go ahead and put into the comments field your Instagram account, because that is the primary way that people can get in contact with you. They can follow you, as well as commission you. Because when they see your artwork, when they hear your story, this is Art of Lobos. But I don't want anybody to go there just yet. We want your eyes to be here, because this is where it's happening. This is where it's at. Right. So let's kick this into the first part of the show, which is called the origin story. Keeping up with a comics theme, origin story is so fitting. So this is where I give the mic back to our guest, and they basically tell their origin story. They tell about their humble beginnings. I know that Lobos, he hails from the planet Krypton, came here to Earth to grace us with his superpowers. But let me give you the mic, and while you're talking about yourself and your creative journey, I'm going to be showing some of that phenomenal artwork that I alluded to. This is what sold me in terms of being a devout follower of this man's artwork. Because when you see it, it's gonna blow your mind. It's just really, really, really cool. So let me pull that up right here, and I'm gonna put the mic in your hands. Tell us your origin story, Lobos.
Well, you are correct by saying that I am like Superman, an immigrant, right?
That's right. That's right.
So yes, I was born in Mexico, but I was just born there, never lived there. It's just born there. Anyways, started drawing since I can remember. Well, according to my parents, 4 years old. Probably earlier than that. I got pictures of me when I was a baby, and they see me with crayon and paper. Anyways, yeah, I mean, as far as I can remember, I could always draw. But what really got me started drawing is when I was in, I think, first grade. They had asked for. I was asked my dad to draw a horse, right? And he drew a horse, but it looked like an alligator, right? And I wasn't happy with this, so I did my own horse, right? And ever since then, just got more and more focused into it. Just throughout school. I mean, younger years, just I was always fascinated with drawings. I mean, I would see things other artists drew and everything, and I just felt that I could do it too, right? Just always had that instinct in me, like I could do it too, right? Just that stubborn part of me. And then, yeah, I will fail a lot, but I kept trying, and I kept trying, and I kept trying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in my early years was mostly realistic drawings, portraits, and stuff that I would see in life. Just get a sketchbook and start drawing. During school, I would scribble a lot on my textbooks and my notebooks, on my desk. I mean, it's always full of little doodles and everything, right? All the time.
So you are a serial vandalizer of
Right.
Your artwork on everything.
The teachers never got mad about it. Never, ever got. They kind of encouraged it, right?
Yeah.
And anyways, yeah. In fourth grade, there was an art contest. There was a rodeo here in Houston. They have this rodeo art contest for schools. And you know how Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio, they have every year they have a rodeo, and it's a big thing, right? So I'm not a big rodeo fan, but anyways, I just saw the art contest, right? And I decided to draw something, and they had like any contest, they have a criteria what they expect, right? And what size.
Right.
I didn't read none of that. I just saw art contest. I decided to draw my own thing. So I went. I asked my mom and dad to go to the store and go with them to buy me a poster board, the big 3x4, like almost size of a plywood, right? Huge.
Right.
And I put that and started drawing, and I drew an Indian, Native American, on top of a horse, shooting an arrow into a buffalo, and the buffalo's flipping over, and it was a lot of action, right? And it was huge too, like huge. And I remember bringing it to school, and I mean, me small, trying to carry the big old thing, right? And I had it all wrapped up, so it won't get messed up. And I gave it to my teacher. Here's my submission. And she goes, "That's too big, right?" But once they opened it, they looked at it, right? And they were amazed by it, right? Anyways, that's all I heard for a while, right? I didn't see my drawing, or they took it, and I don't know what they did with it, right? Then, like a few days, a week later, and they come back and saying that it had ribbons all over it, and they had won first place in Dallas, and Houston, and San Antonio. Like, oh, wow, right? They had it on the wall in school and everything.
Right.
Anyways, during that time, my high school principal, my school principal,
elementary school, right?
Yeah, elementary. He come into the office, Mr. Boyd, and he kind of questioned me about the drawing, and he was asking me if I drew myself, and I thought I was in trouble, because he was questioning me about stuff. But they wanted to verify because they couldn't believe I drew it. They thought my parents did or somebody, my family did. No, I did.
Uh-huh.
And my teacher there being with me, she vouched for me. No, he did it. I see him draw all the time, right? And she had some of the textbooks that I had, my notebooks, and showed them to the principal.
Uh-huh.
And he showed them like, yeah, kind of trying to want to verify, and they was just amazed by it. But yeah, during that time, like I said, just growing up, I come from a poor family. My parents, like, they were immigrants. They didn't know much English and stuff like that, right? Remember that
Uh-huh.
around that time they wanted, they had identified me as gifted, and they wanted to put me in a magnet school, right, here in Houston. But like I said, a lot of those opportunities went away because we moved around a lot, right? So I was
Right.
never able to
Right.
take advantage of that. So every time I was identified in a different school as gifted or whatever, right,
Uh-huh.
I'll get put away. The opportunity will go away. And my parents, they didn't, like I said, the language barrier, they didn't know what to look for and stuff like that and everything, and who to ask, how to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, just moving around a lot and everything. Um, and just thinking back, I think that's done in my development of drawing. But like me, just being stubborn and just want to keep doing it and doing it. And like I said, I'm self-taught. Anyways, through high school, through middle school, high school, everybody knew I could draw. Every school I went to, they knew I could draw right away. Like as soon as you see my drawings, they knew who I was. Right.
Right.
Popularity for me was never a problem, really. And
Uh,
because of that, a lot of guys, for some reason, I earned the respect, right? And I would have
well, heck yeah. Yeah.
people look out for me. I was
Uh,
never a big guy like a lot of the guys in high school or middle school, right? But I always had people, and during that time, it was like the late '80s, and high school was like in the early '90s, going into the early '90s. There was a lot of gang stuff, right, and everything. But I never had a problem because I never had to deal with that, right? Because I had people from all places, respect me. Anyways, the point is this: I focused in drawing, and that's all I did, right? We didn't have no internet back then. We couldn't
I know
afford
what
to
you're
have
talking about.
game
Hmm.
consoles. So my thing was drawing, right? That was my internet. That was my games, right?
Yeah, that was your escapism. That was how, no, Matt, it sounds like you moved around a lot. Um, but it sounds like through art, it's like you were like, you could be the big man on campus. You didn't have to be the superstar football player. You could just be the
Right.
guy that could draw horses that didn't look like alligators. That's what I think is really cool. In fact, that's a comment Aurelis. I meant to like figure out a way to interject that. She says that's no alligator I'm seeing. Wow. She's like really loving it. Yeah, but yeah, let me continue your story. So like now you're in high school. Um,
But I think
you
with all that
decide to do
adversity,
yeah.
all that adversity I went through and everything, I think that helped me
Yes.
keep drawing. Right. That means it's
Right.
just this is the one thing that I can own, that I can control, and it's my thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so it's just like it's not until until I got to high school. I always liked comics, always liked comics. I just couldn't understand how they drew them. You
Right.
see all these lines and everything, and I knew it was ink, but I couldn't understand how can you draw. I always thought that they just drew with ink, no pencils. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
pencil was involved at all, and I couldn't even draw a straight line with ink. And I always had problems with inking, right?
Uh-huh.
Anyways, that's why I never touched it, right? And like I was afraid. Like I can't draw just with a pen, I can't. I gotta be
Mm-hmm.
able to use a pencil and an eraser, right? In case I mess up. And it was when I went to high school. Uh, that's why I remember my friend Mustafa Musa, inker. He used to work for Marvel and
Yes.
DC and stuff. Anyways, I met him there, and I saw him drawing. We're in drafting class, me and him together, in art class also. But when I saw him, and he was in drafting class, he was sketching. He was drawing this character he came up with named Cross, and also a superhero with the cross in his face and everything. Anyways, these guys fell through the lightning bolt,
Uh-huh.
and I saw what he was doing. He was sinking his own pencils, and I was like, "That guy's cheating. He can't do that, right?"
Cheating.
Yeah, 'cause I didn't
I,
understand
I,
the process, right?
yeah, yeah. It's so funny hearing you say that because I hate inking myself. I think you said that you don't really necessarily hate inking. It's just that you felt uncomfortable with it because you like the forgivingness of using pencils, because you can always erase it. But it's so
Right.
interesting to hear your story about it. It's sort of like because that's kind of like the bad rap that phenomenal inkers get. I don't know if you saw that movie, Chasing Amy. Uh, there was like it's like, oh, you're an inker, so that means you trace things, right? And it's
Yeah.
not that way. Inking is
No,
a
no,
whole nother
no.
art in itself. Yeah, it's a totally different art in itself. But it's so funny that you think that you and Mustafa have this kind of relationship. So you're sitting with him. He's your friend, um, and you're in drafting class, which is really
Right.
fun. And he's inking over some penciled artwork, and all of a sudden it's like boom, this whole new world is open to you. It's like at first you thought he was cheating, but then you realize, oh, it's a process. You can lay
Right.
down the pencils and then ink. So what was your thoughts on inking after you saw that?
So, so I was just kind of more intrigued by it, right? So
Right.
and so from how I got into it. Anyways, I know you have seen some of my stuff, my drawings, right?
Yes, of
And
course.
I started doing comic now with pencils, right?
Mhm.
And then he goes, help me draw this book. I'm like, sure. You want a few pages? Sure. I started doing a few pages, right? So I guess he tells me all the time. He realized since then he was going to be an ink penciler. That changed his trajectory, right?
Right.
Ever since then, he's been an inker. So he started inking myself. So he's pretty much my first inker, right? Because I guess he liked my pencils, but I don't know. I mean, he just said I changed, but he made him be the inker. And ever since we started doing comic books together in high school, we were selling them for $1 a buck, right? We make copies and staple them together. And
Entrepreneur at an early age here, making your own
so
comics books in
he
high school.
was he was he was the most entrepreneur. He was more focused on that. I was just more like drawing, like the rest. I'm not too worried about. Anyway, so I was just in high school, just going through that. And I remember our teacher from drafting class said, "That's not going to get you nowhere. You need to focus on this." And like,
Whatever.
we'll keep drawing. And yeah, those are my high school experience with them. That's where I met them. Like I said, right after high school, we started to. I started to submit stuff to companies like that. Right, I started going to conventions. I know back then it was a lot of comics were pretty popular back then, like in the 90s, right?
Yeah, and it was old school.
Remember,
You had to bring your traditional stuff with you, no digital stuff. Right?
remember like in the early 2000s, I forgot what year it was. Anyways, I traveled all the way to Chicago with my portfolio that I had at the time. And I met this company. I went through, I submitted through Marvel. I met up with different companies, but there was one company called Penny Farthing Press at the time. And they liked my stuff and they wanted to work with me. And they were based in Houston, right? So I drove all the way to
Yeah.
Chicago for a company that works, here in Houston. So, anyways, I got my first gig with them. It was my first gig, and what they're paying is like it wasn't much. And like I said, coming from a poor family and stuff like that, right? I never really had a means to get what I needed and stuff like that, but they weren't paying, and I was struggling through it because it wasn't paying the bills, right? And I was like, I was
Yes.
out of high school and everything. And I was living pretty much by myself. And I needed to pay the bill, so it wasn't cutting for me. It just wasn't cutting it. And I go, this ain't for me. I mean, I can't do this. I'll do this as a hobby, but not as a career. I just didn't. I wasn't convinced, right, that I could make a career out of it.
Right.
Anyways, so at that time, that's when I started walking away from the
From
drawing comic.
following a comic career, right? A comics
Right.
career.
I just kind of like gave up on it. Got a job and a real job, and started doing construction. Um, and I did that for a long time. And like I said, it was making good money. And to me, like I said, I never really had that kind of money. And to me, like I'm not gonna let go of this.
Right.
It's good money for me. So it changed my life around, right? Working where I was working in construction, I got to meet a lot of people and stuff like that and everything. It's just my focus changed, and drawings
Yes.
became something secondhand, right? As an adult. Yes, I was still every once in a while check in and the comic world was going on. But around that time, comics took a dive, right? It was popular like it was. There wasn't that many shows. It's not until the movies started coming out, I guess, that's when like Iron Man and all that stuff started coming out, like in the like what 2010s. Anyways, besides that, like I said, I lost interest in a lot of comic stuff. But drawing, I
Yeah.
still draw. But I reverted back to more to the real world stuff, like the real life drawings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just through time, I was just too busy working, traveling all over the U.S. and I was working long hours, long long weeks, and I didn't have time to draw. I come home so tired. Like I said, it's just time went by, and it's not until like 2015, uh, my friend Mustafa contacted me again, and
I wanted to say that Mustafa must be like this pivotal figure in your life that just appears to help
and I told
move
him
you
that.
along
You know,
to certain things.
he never stopped believing in me. Never, never.
Right. Right.
Throughout the years. I mean, I know that guy for a long time. It's like a brother to me now, right? Uh,
Right. Right.
uh, anyways, let me revert back. So, like I said, I would check back in once in a while, and I see the style of drawing for comics changed. Right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
It started to become more digital. It's more realistic. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I know when I was before I was drawing, I was frustrated with the look. I like black and white drawings, like the one you're showing right now. I do like them.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, no matter what, it's a flatness to it, right?
Right.
Because I mean, like I said, when I first draw, I started drawing real life with shading in there, right? You get
Uh-huh.
that 3D effect, that the whole depth and everything. You're gonna go so far with black and white, right? It looks good,
Yeah.
right? It looks great. There's a skill to it, right? Not a lot of people can
Mm-hmm.
pull off, and I've seen some guys that do some amazing things, such as the black and white, right? But no matter what, it's just even when you get color, you do all that detail, it goes away, right?
Right. Uh.
And I was always frustrated with that, right? It's not until, like I said, later on, I started seeing comics change, become more realistic with, I guess, the Photoshop and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
then I go, well, something sparked in my head. I go, maybe I should try doing that. So I started learning digital painting programs like Photoshop and stuff like that, right? And
Yes. Yes.
that was a big rabbit hole I went into. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I started learning all this kind of stuff and everything. Like, and the more I got into it, the more it took away from my actual drawing, right? So I was just find
Mm-hmm.
myself like it was taking too long for me to do. Like, if I do something in digital, the thing is with digital, you have that ease where you can always undo, right?
Yeah.
You always want to
Then
make something
you
perfect.
start wrestling with perfection. Like it's like you almost
Right.
feel like I can keep on making it better, and then you feel like it's never going to get that way, right? So that was the
And,
frustration you were feeling.
and that was consume me, right? And I just
Uh-huh.
got to put this away. I was taking longer doing digital than traditional, right?
Right.
And that's the thing I like about traditional. Once you do it, yes, you can go and restart over. It's like that, right? But
Uh-huh.
it gets to a point where this is good enough. You got to keep making it, right? And just move along, right? And
Yeah.
that's just I got to learn on that, right? With digital, I just couldn't do that. It's just like I said, it'll consume me, and it was just like, no, I got to fix this. I got to fix this. By the time I start with one pose, by the time I finish, it's a whole different pose, right? It's, yeah, man. It's just not easy. And anyways, also the digital look. And back then, now you got brushes and everything. You can make something look from the digital look traditional, right? You
Yes.
got different
Yes.
brushes you can do that, right? But it's just something about me that just holding that piece of paper, the actual
I I totally feel you, and I think that's the thing that surprised me the most when I started talking to you, and we did we talked about your process, and you from what you just told me, it's like you appreciate the digital side and how it can kind of enhance
right.
what you do traditionally.
Yeah.
So you've decided it's like I don't for you don't hate digital. You think
No, no,
digital is it's an extension of your skill set. You still like the tactile feel of drawing
Right.
things traditionally.
It just
And
wasn't for me.
yeah, well, what I like about it is like what you described. It sounds so. It is so true. It's like there's a bit of finality when you can when you're drawing something on paper because there is no Control Z. There is no Apple Z.
Right.
To undo something. You can erase it when it's in the pencil stage, but once you get to that inking or that in your case when you use Copic markers or Copic markers, um,
Right.
that's it. You have to make that decision, and it's done. And now you use the digital side to basically just refine, make blacks more richer in your colors, and then
Right.
add, like what you mentioned to me. What I learned from you is that you feel like sometimes your black and white artwork can look a little flat, and when you bring it into the digital world, when you're doing that enhancement in Photoshop, that's where you can maybe kind of mess around with it digitally to add depth to it. And
Right.
that's what I love about your artwork is that you embrace traditional because that's what you're comfortable with, but you found ways to have digital be a way to make your artwork even better. And
Right.
yeah,
I mean, that's what
uh,
I guess a traditional for me when I do a traditional drawing. That's my base for my digital stuff, right?
yes,
It's my base, and that's I'm not gonna move away from that, right? No matter what. So I
uh,
can't be consumed by trying to go and change it around. So I'm locked in with that one drawing, right? And the reason I use digital to enhance the drawings is because whenever I do a scan of it, it never appears the same. It's different when you're looking for light shining
yes,
onto the paper
mhm,
compared to a screen with the light shining from the screen out. Right, it's different.
uh,
So the drawing looks let's say 90% same, but it's just little things that when the artist sees that
uh,
you can tell it's off. So I got to go in there and try to match it to the way the original drawing looks like, right? So I have to
right,
go use I use Photoshop to edit what Photoshop is made for. Pretty much,
yes,
like a photographer gets a photograph of a raw photograph and he enhances it, right? That's what I
uh,
do with my drawings. Um, I try not to stray too much from the original drawing because I want to keep it the same, but still, like I said, I want to, like I said, make the blacks blacker and uh,
uh,
some of the Copics don't show up. I got to go in and touch it up a little bit.
right,
Um, but yeah, anyway, so I going from that. Um, After that, just looking at that, seeing when I discovered like one of my biggest influence right now is Adam Hughes, right?
I can
And
definitely see that. Yeah,
the reason is because I saw the way he used Copic markers to make something uh, look almost digital, right? In a traditional form with Copics. And I go,
yes.
wow, I want to do that. I go, that's like to me, it's like that's the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, that was your epiphany moment. That was where you saw because I think I agree with you because I follow Adam Hughes too, and I think that's I'm a big fan of his work, and I that's part of the reason why I was drawn to your artwork. And but the thing is though that I love about your style is it is your style. I can see the influence of Adam Hughes, but this is Lobos artwork. You're able to take um, a style and a medium, which is Copics, and overcome your fear of like inking, which I still think you ink tremendously well, and then figure out how you can have Copics help tell that story and bring that three dimensionality. I don't even know if that's a word. Anyway, make it look more 3D. And the thing that I think is fun about your story because I think you've now that you've discovered this, here we are. You've taken, you're a prodigy at 9 years or early in your your art career, and then at 9 years old you get accused of not doing the artwork, and then you prove them wrong, and you win these contests. But then you move around a lot, and then as fate would make it, you meet Mustafa, and that friendship is found is formed. And I think it's funny here. We got Victor Ruffino, who's one of my great friends. He commented in here. I need a Mustafa in my life. I agree. I think that he was kind of like this catalyst for you that helped your relationship in terms of like you to see how he inked. You got to see how he
Right.
could bring out that artwork, and then it's what like most parents have for their children. You know, you and I walk that same path. We both have. I can't say that I was winning art contests at 9 years old like you, but I can say that our parents kind of like say, hey, you know, art is great. It's a nice hobby. You're very talented at it, but you got to think about making a career. You know, and it was funny. Rodolfo said, you know, got to find a real job, and he kind of laughed because I think now it's kind of like we kind of are programmed that it's a starving artist thing. You know, if you're an artist, you're going to be starving. And I like your story because you kind of like did a little bit of a reverse. You know, you sort of said, okay, well, I got to find ways to pay the bills. I got a
Mhm.
family. I got to do all these things. I got a daughter. You got Lobos,
Mhm.
mini Lobos there. But then again, Mustafa pops up in your life again, and and,
Yeah,
and this is what happens. You know, he says, "Okay, let's draw," and you know, and now you discover Adam Hughes, and you're doing this type of artwork.
right.
So from what I just want to like, you know, because I want our audience to actually see the magic happening, but I still want to tell your story. So like here we go. You know, you've discovered Copics, and you're doing this phenomenal artwork. You know, I have this right now. Um, this was an eye opener for you,
Right.
and here we are
Kind of
at
like it's kind of
2018. Yeah.
like when I met Mustafa in high school when he's doing the inking.
Uh,
To me, when I saw the Copa, it's like, that's how you do it. You know?
but it lit the fire in you again,
Right.
and it made you say,
Right.
"Hey, you know what? I'm gonna like, you know, I have a career now." You know, you mentioned, you know, I think you mentioned it, but you know, I know now that you know you're in the construction business. You know, you're providing for your family, you're paying those bills. But I think
A lot more
inside,
comfortable than
it's
I
like,
was. I think. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's like, but you felt like, hey, I like drawing still, and
Well, that's what
Mustafa.
drew me back because I could put
Uh,
what I was lacking with the black and white. I could
yep.
now mix my real world my real life drawings, right, the shading part
Yes.
together. You know,
Yes, yes. So now you found a way to bridge that using Copics to create that 3D effect
right,
that you were longing for, that you felt like when there was a
right,
black and white piece that felt kind of flat. And
right.
you know, and this is what we see now. You know, you've definitely mastered the art of of using Copics in this really effective way. Um, but I think this is you know, as we move, because you know here we are at 2018, you've rediscovered this, and now you're getting back into art. And you told me this really funny story, and I don't know if it was Mustafa. I don't know if you want to mention who it was, but I think you did some artwork,
Hmm.
and actually I'll just let you tell the story about how you did this artwork, not thinking how far it could have gone, it went, and it's a funny
Right.
story. So go ahead and tell our audience that story about this artwork that went on to become much bigger and then opened your eyes in terms of like the potential.
So after all that, pretty much what got me
Uh,
into this path that I am right now is like in 2015, Mustafa he contacted me, right? And he asked me, "Hey, what you doing? You still drawing?" Like, no, not really. Anyways, he asked me to do a pinup for him, and he was asking, was a Spider Man, Carnage, and Venom together, right?
uh-huh.
Yeah, I did it in the old way that I would draw, like just pencils, no shading, just
Yes.
pencil, right? Like black and white. Anyways, I don't know what he did with it or what. I just gave it to him. It's more like a side thing. It's my friend. I wouldn't do it for him, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyways, he took that and he got it inked. He inked it, got it
uh-huh.
colored, prints of it. And I think around that time that he was starting off to doing his own print stuff and shows, right?
Uh-huh.
And to this day, he tells me all the time that's one of my best sellers. Pretty much, that's, he mentions it. That paid for my Tesla. I'm like, okay.
That's so funny. Because you know when I
That's
first heard it,
it.
when I first heard that story, I was like, part of me was like laughing, and then part of me was like, "Dang, got it!" It's like my friend, he took my artwork and he's like making money off me, and then you mentioned he inked
Well, I
it,
never
so like
saw it that way.
yeah,
I just,
I know, and that's the thing that got me is because you're such a good natured person, and actually you told me the whole story in terms of like
yeah.
it's not like he took your artwork, scanned it, and then just like you know started selling it. You know he put his
No, because
imprint on
I
it
could
by
never believe,
giving
like I
it.
said, Mustafa was always more the entrepreneur than me, right?
Yes, yes,
Even
but he put
since
his
high school, it was
yeah,
his comic book we were doing, right? He was selling them,
yes, yes,
And
yes.
I drew it. I just gave.
But he
Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, and the thing is though is that he inked it and then he sold it, and then you telling me that story is like oh yeah, Lobos, it's like, that piece you did for me, it's like, gosh, I inked it, it's my bestseller and it helped finance my Tesla. And I was like, kind of like rolling in stitches, I was kind of like laughing about that. But
But I
you
think he
being
did
the
it
person
more.
that,
I think he did it more to try to convince me to come and do this full time.
yes,
Not
that's what I
because
was,
he was bragging, right? Yeah,
yes, and that's what I was gonna get to, is that, and it's like Victor said, we all need that Mustafa in our life, because I think he kind of opened your eyes to the possibilities. Like, hey, you know what? Um, this is a hobby for me, but I can use this to actually, make money, and take this passion that I've cultivated since you were in grade school, and figure out a way. So like this light bulb went off in your head.
right.
So now we're here at what, that was like 2015, and moving into like 2018. So you started mastering, you're using Copics now, right? So
Right.
and you're taking your art to this next level. Um, so I as we get to this next level, I mean, in terms of your origin story, this is something that kind of like happened, to a lot of artists, a lot of creators, during this unfortunate time in world history. COVID happened, the pandemic happened,
Mhm.
and I think that, in the midst of this tragedy, which was COVID, it also allowed artists to kind of like take that risk, and kind of like, what, um, let me put my stuff out there, see how it is. Let social media be a vehicle. And you mentioned you went to all these cons, and you had been going to these cons, but you took this time period to like refine your craft, do build your book, your portfolio. Which was funny, is because you told me that you weren't necessarily like building a portfolio in the traditional sense. You were just drawing what you liked, and it's not
Right.
like you had this book. I find this so funny. I'm gonna let you tell this story too, that
Well,
you
I'm a
shared with me
practice,
about
but
how,
I was like, this is just
yes,
practice.
you
Yeah.
were practicing, but your practice was just, I mean, I saw some of those pieces, and your practice just looked awesome. And um let's flash forward to like, how you were like, kind of like, I wouldn't say kidnapped, but you were forcibly asked to go to a con. And I don't know if it was Mustafa again, but somebody said, hey, Lobos, put together your book. And you didn't have a book, but you just decided, I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna you tell that story in terms of like, your first experience of just going to a con with your book. I mean, with
It
your
was
with
like
your artwork.
2020, I believe, or 2021, last year. It was last
Yes,
year,
yes,
April of last year. There was a megacon in Florida, and
yes.
I was back at home, so like that, right? I was anyways, I took some time off from work. Let's put it that way. Uh, he asked me, let's go to a show. I go, you come share tell me. Like, sure, I got nothing to do. Let's go. He goes, well, I got nothing to show. Dude, just bring everything you have. Bring everything you have. I know you got some stuff there. Just bring it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, right, all my stuff. Put in I don't remember, put in a folder or something, and I just took it with me. Put it in the backpack.
Is this Mustafa again, or is this somebody
Mm-hmm.
else? It
Stuff.
was Mustafa. Okay, okay,
Right.
all right.
So I go there, and then he gives me a little corner of the table, right? With stuff in. Next day I get there, and I start taking stuff out. It's not even in a portfolio. It's not even in a book. This is
Is
all
this
random.
random papers like everywhere, right?
Right. He goes, you didn't bring a portfolio? I go, no. You didn't get one. Then it was, yeah, we had to get one at the con. And then just made it more professional, more proper looking, right?
Presentable. Yeah,
We put it
yeah.
out to be presentable. And yeah, we put it all together. Anyways, that show, all my stuff that I had there pretty much went away. All my stuff. Like, wow.
that that was the thing that blew my mind too. Is that you brought this artwork here? You just shoved them in a folder, put them in your backpack. Didn't have a portfolio, and really wasn't even in your intention to actually make waves.
No,
And
yeah,
everybody just scooped up your artwork. They just bought it,
right. Yeah.
and yeah. So
And I was
again, the
selling
light
like,
bulb.
it was just like, the price I was coming up was like, I don't think that nobody's gonna pay for that. Nobody's gonna pay for that. And right away, they didn't even hesitate. Like, man, I should ask for more, right? So every time I saw a piece, I'll up it up, and they'll come buy it.
Yes.
And my guy come back, I'll up it up again. Like, okay, and it's just okay. I started kind of seeing my baseline for
Yeah.
drawing, and I started
Uh-huh.
started to get a little bit convinced, you know. and I still wasn't fully convinced, right, about doing this career. And anyways, yeah, it was a good show. Like I said, I had a little small, just a small space enough for a portfolio, right?
Right.
I think they're pretty good.
That is such a great story, because it's sort of like, now again a light bulb went off in your head. It's like, I'm feeling a little more comfortable at this, in terms of like, I could actually make some money. You're not convinced you can make a living out of it, but you could say I can make some money out of it. And then I'm gonna flash forward to like to your next con appearance, where you kind of now, or you've been to actually a few different cons. And one of the funny stories that you told me before is like, you're kind of just going at this at like learning as you go. And you mentioned one con that you went to where something fell through and they didn't have a table for you. But you made it a point. It's like, hey, I'm already here. I think this was New York Comic Con last year. And you said, you know what? I'm going to make the most of it. And you just sort of like found your own table, a table that was just not being used, and made it your, this is one thing that I really admired about you, is because you didn't like let a negative hold you back. You decided, hey, I'm just going to make it happen for myself. And then that was a great story. But the next story that you talked to me was, and this will probably be our last story, or one of the last stories before we get into the live drawing, because you had so many things that you shared with me about. But this one is going to be what I want to call is like, this is your true epiphany moment, in terms of like, because now you're doing all this artwork, and we didn't even mention yet, and we'll talk about that later on, about your success doing indie comic covers, and we'll mention, we actually showed some of those in your in the PDF that I've been scrolling by. But the story that you told me is like, you cut your teeth going to cons. Now you're at this particular con, your table is getting swamped, you're selling things, you're being really busy, and then somebody nudges you and sort of says, hey, you know what, there's a Marvel portfolio review that's coming up. Would you like to like send something to, like, maybe they can consider you?
Mustafa again.
Yeah, is this Mustafa again? Okay, well, all right. So, like I said, we need a Mustafa, everybody needs a Mustafa in their life. Okay, so tell us about this thing. It's like he nudged you, and you're so busy, and I'm gonna let you pick up and tell the rest of the story. So, like,
so it's my first time to have my very own table, like a legit my own table, right? They're paid for and everything. That's mine. Anyways, I started getting a lot of interest from people, publishers like that, right? People from Nintendo, Darren Hutchison from Unknown Comics. Anyways, Mustafa. Well, I always had a crowd there, but my thing is like they could never find me there. I can't stand still, not on a table, so I'm always gone, right? So when people come around, I was in there like they were looking for you. So Mustafa was next to me, right? But you look out for me. Anyways, I was always gone. I was walking around talking to people and everything. It's not until I started getting a crowd that I started staying put. And anyway, so Mustafa says, "Hey, they're having a review. You wanna submit something, right?" And I go for what? I go for Marvel. I go sure, but I had nothing to give them. The only prints that I had was 3 prints. Was Poison Ivy, a Harley, and a back. That's all I had.
And these are DC characters.
Yes,
and it's a Marvel portfolio submission.
Yes. Like I said,
okay, keep on going. Keep on going.
Expecting anything. So here, I gave people start here getting those, right? I didn't think nothing. I wasn't expecting anything at all.
Right.
But come to find out, I was selected to go and interview with them. Like, okay, my name was up right there. So I go talk to CB, the editor, and he liked my stuff. But this time I brought my portfolio, which I had my originals, right?
Right.
And he looks at it. Oh, so you were saying the good stuff for like extra? I didn't have no prints. That's all I have, It didn't last on the meeting. Didn't last like 10 minutes. Give us information. Send me all this stuff to this email. Okay.
Awesome.
From there,
that is the kind of story. I think this will be a good segue into the live drawing part of this, because this is what I think is amazing. Hearing your origin story. It's like aside from the Mustafa effect, which is what we're going to call it, I think you have this tremendous talent, and what I like about hearing your story is that you you're so like somewhat carefree in the sense, and that you don't have like all these super high expectations, but you have faith in your skill. And and I'm hearing these stories, and you sort of just like, hey, here's three DC character prints for a Marvel portfolio submission. I just think that it's just like really ballsy. It's like, hey, not even showing Marvel characters to a Marvel portfolio review, but that speaks volumes. It's like you weren't like, you had things you were focusing on, and you said, hey, well, if they like it, they like it, and I'm just gonna go with it. I'm just gonna flow with it. And um, now here we are in 2022, and when people, if you follow Lobos on Instagram, he's and Facebook, he has posted things here, and we can't go into fine details about it, but I just want people to know is that he has his foot officially in the door. He's working with Marvel. He's working with DC, and it's because of things like this. It's like and Mustafa. I think it's like you have this tremendous artwork, and now it's gotten out there. It's being seen at cons, and people are taking notice. And that's how I discovered you on social media, and that's what I love about your artwork. So here we have, in terms of um, the style, that look, that you've crafted, that you've honed. It's amazing. You've taken that, your already fantastic pencils and found ways to bring that depth and volume through it by inking it, and then of course adding the Copics on top of it. So I think a lot of people in our audience, they basically have been saying the same thing. I popped this up while we were talking, but here Marius says here the action in this image is quite striking in execution. Yeah, I wasn't sure if this is the one that was on when he saw this, but that's the kind of feeling that I get from all of your pieces. They're all very striking pinups. They have a very movie poster cinematic look about them. It's like you could just add the titles and credits around this. It'd be a great movie poster. So I am totally in awe of your skill, and I think this would be a good moment for us to like start doing, I guess, a live drawing. The live drawing part of the show. Now we're only going to be doing one live drawing, and just like with other live drawings that we've done on this show, we encourage audience participation. So if you like Lobos' style, obviously if you don't necessarily have to do his style.
Uh-oh.
This isn't Lobos artwork, but this is the particular costume. It's going to be Harley Quinn. So this is the costume or the variation of Harley Quinn that he's going to be executing, or he's going to be drawing. And I'm going to put the challenge out here. If you're going to draw along with us, do a version of Harley Quinn. And then listen along and watch, like I said, the magic happen. See what we're going to kind of like get into the mind of Lobos, and he can kind of like talk about what his thought processes were, or what the commissioner asked him to do. And we're going to up his art cam, and you're going to get to see that happen. So please draw along with us. If you do, let me know in the comment field that you are, and post to our sister page, which is the Art Show on Facebook. And at the end of the 25 minutes, we'll show it, and you can share your artwork with Lobos, and I'll be more than happy to share that with our audience as well. So that being said, I'm going to add your art cam. Hold on one moment. Let's put that in here, and let me. So do a screen capture of this Harley Quinn if you want to draw this particular costume. Okay, and I'm going to stop sharing that. All right. Okay, so Lobos, I'm going to maximize your screen right now, so that way we can see it, because we're going to be drawing a little bit at an angle here. I'm going to start the clock right now. 25 minutes. We're going to be doing Harley Quinn, and I'm going to draw along with Lobos. Try and keep up with this master, and then I'm going to let Lobos kind of talk about his thought process, and we're just going to continue the conversation. So, Lobos, let us know what you do when you approach a commission.
So the kind of lead that I use is an HB lead, the lead holder, right? For bigger
Oh,
drawings, I use.
before you start, your camera froze.
Oh no,
Can you check on it?
sure.
I don't know if you need to like refresh it. Maybe seems to have
Yeah,
frozen. Let me pause the clock right now. All
we're
right,
working
here it
now.
is. It's back up. All right, it's back. Okay, so let me start the clock again, and go ahead, finish your thought.
Yeah, for bigger drawings, I use this. I don't forgot what it's called. I think it's a knobby or no, it's a big fat lead on it.
Uh huh.
Same thing, HB. And then whenever I want to, if it's not, this is what I use for inking. It's a real dark lead.
Okay.
I do use pens sometimes, but I try to stay away from them as much as I can. Uh, it's not as dark as the actual ink, but it's very close. That's what I use. It's a 3 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I use mostly for my line work. And then I got, of course, a Vanity eraser, regular eraser. And then I got this. What do you call these? These mono for detailed erasing. And I got this handy brush here to clean up the drawing.
Right. That's the most essentials. That's your ultimate secret right there. Having that
It's my,
huge brush.
it's my favorite.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so pretty much when I draw something, I kind of use the same way digital artists draw on Photoshop or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start with your loose drawing, right? And then you get another layer and go back over it, right? But instead of me using layers, I use different papers, right? I go over it. I got this
Uh-huh.
big pad right here. Not all the times, just whenever my sketches get out of hand, it's just too messy for me to erase the lines, and it's just going to be a smudge, right? So I get
Mm-hmm.
another paper, with a piece of a sheet of paper, go over and trace
Mm-hmm.
it, get a cleaner version, right? Pretty much the same thing with Photoshop, and that's what I do. Sometimes I'll go over, let's say I'll go over the sketch, clean it up, and that one becomes messy again. So I got to get another one. And so I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a process for me. So I'm not the quickest drawer either. I'm not like I said, I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't blessed with that skill, or but trying to get there because I
Well,
know this
it's not the quantity though, right? It's the quality. It's like, the
right.
quality of the artwork, right?
Yeah, but when you have deadlines like
That's
you
true. That is true. That's the only thing that would help motivate you to go faster, right? But
right. Yeah. So, anyways, here's some things that I have done. Like I don't know if you can see it too well. It's kind of blurry in this. It's blurry on there.
uh-huh.
Prior drawings that I had before, but I'm gonna
Yeah, if you
draw
want to like,
professional.
yeah, okay.
Can
Well, I was gonna
I
say if
show
you want
you
to put that up on the cam and closer to the cam.
this
Yeah, I
one?
guess it's not really focusing very well, but
Yes.
yeah, I can make it out. Yeah, so these are your roughs, I guess, for Harley
Right.
Quinn, right?
No, this is something else I was doing. I mean, these are old stuff. I just
Oh,
wanted to
okay,
show
all
you.
right, okay.
Let's see.
So this is like your how you do your loose preliminaries, your roughs that you kind of
Right.
like warm up to, right? Okay.
No, it's just gonna focus. Right. Anyway, you can really see
Yeah.
this. Did it freeze
Oh,
again?
it looks.
Man.
Yeah, I think your camera froze again. I don't know. Can you see if it's you might need to reboot it or maybe refresh it? Oh, okay. Now there it is. It's back. Okay.
Back.
Yeah, it's back. Okay. All right.
All right.
Let's see the magic happen. Just sort of like talk us through in terms of like what your thought process is.
So when I draw something, I want to feel loose. I just want to let my hands just go wherever it wants to go, right? And do have an image in my head, but a lot of the times when you let the your hands just do anything, it kind of guides you to okay, I like this idea. It's just by accident.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you do have an overall idea what you want to do, but it's like a lot of times it's just accident. Uh, so I'm not too worried too much about centering the piece. If it's off center or whatever, the composition or whatever, or it's too small, like I said, I'll get another piece of paper and center it and retrace it again, right? So it's
Right.
more about just trying to get the actual anatomy of the actual figure in the pose I want.
Hmm.
So
Getting the gesture and the feel down, right?
right.
Or the attitude, getting the attitude down.
So I know this drawing is gonna be pretty much from the knees up. So I kind of like do. I know he wants something fun, of course, sexy.
No, no alligators or horses in this one, right?
Yeah. So I gotta make sure I fit something in here. It's a drawing. It said I like drawing big, so
Hmm.
this for 9 by 12. So I usually draw just like a bust and stuff like that. But you guys see I'm already off center, so I'll go back and erase this
Oh,
part.
I think your camera hates us because it dropped again.
Hmm.
Let's
Let's see,
make,
how can I fix this? If I use this one, let's see. I gotta,
well, how about this? Is your camera that you're using for your face? Is it a laptop or is it
it's a
like the one
desktop.
that we?
It's a
Oh,
screen.
okay. Wait, actually,
So,
it came back online. All right.
okay.
Okay, so we have it again. All right. So go
So
ahead and talk about continue what your thought was on this.
so pretty much say like I'll draw the skeleton, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's just pretty much I actually draw the shoulders for the pose because it kind of gets me where the joint's gonna go. So
Hmm.
I focus a lot on the joints, right? Joints is what gives your character more the natural look, and it kind of you know where to put the joints in. And like I said, it's just going. So my thing is like I want to draw Harley with kind of like a holding the hammer behind her back, right?
Right.
And kind of like puffing out her chest, right? So you got this joint here, and then of course the leg right here. And
So while
she's holding.
you're composing this, can I ask you a question about I guess it's like the elephant in the room because when I was showing your artwork, you obviously mastered drawing very visually appealing, sexy cheesecake style artwork. uh, I guess that was part of the reason why I was so drawn to your style. Um, Now that you said earlier in your artistic career you were doing more portraits and realism. So like the artwork that you're doing right now, um, do you feel like you're kind of like going to be known for drawing like the Adam Hughes style cheesecake thing, or do you want to like expand beyond that? Is that your choice to kind of like do this? Because by all means, you do it well in terms of your style, but do you want to like expand beyond that, or would you be very content in terms of being that kind of artist who's only sought out to do that kind of cheesecake style? What are your thoughts on that?
So the cheesesteak, like I said, the cheesecake style is it's really because that's what people like and that's what they ask for. Like I said, I started
Right,
doing this really, you know, because commission wise, that's what they would ask for, right?
right.
Even
Hmm.
even though me even like necessarily I wouldn't just do that myself, right? Like I like
Hmm.
to be more. I want to see still tell a story in the drawing
Yeah.
more
Hmm.
focus more on the storytelling part of it, right?
Hmm.
And not so much about the sexiness of a woman or a beautiful woman on there, right?
Right.
Uh, I do like drawing it. Don't get me wrong, but that's what people. That's what sells, man. I guess. So,
Well, that's interesting what you just said because you want to be a visual storyteller. I
right.
think that it's like you can still do this style of artwork, and obviously you've mastered it. And again, that'll be kind of like the basis for like what pays the bills. That's what's popular, and obviously, I mean, yeah, sex sells. And but what I like about it though is that your artwork isn't. it has a sexiness to it, but it's not um, it's not uh, distasteful. It's not lewd. It's very complimenting to like the female form, and I really think
Yes.
that's it's really neat the way that you're able to convey the I guess that empowerment of females without being offensive. I think it's popular. But hearing that too in terms of like you wanted to actually do sequentials and tell stories, I think that's
Oh yeah.
awesome. Uh-huh.
I want to expand more to that. Like I said, you look more portfolio what I sent you. That's pretty much
Mm-hmm.
what I've done completely since I started on again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't you compared to a lot of people. Like I haven't really had the time to draw that much. And I feel like I still got a lot more to learn. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning every drawing that I do. I learn new things and try to apply them. Yes, right now, like the Adam Hughes stuff is very strong, and the influence is very strong. Just because I think I'm learning, right? And
Right.
and I'm applying the stuff that I see from that I've seen from other people also, not just him. And applying it to it. So yeah, some drawings you see, like I've been told, I can see a lot of Travis Charest on there, right?
Yeah,
Because I
Travis Sheriff. Yeah, big fan of him too.
and because I study some of this stuff and I apply it to my drawings, right? But I think after once you apply it, you know how to do it. Then you can learn how. I mean, you can expand from there, right? And
Right.
I think it's just like it's a matter of time for me. Like I just feel like I'm not too worried about trying to find my own style, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like I said, people, you look at Adam Hughes, like, no, yes, I am. Like, I'm not lying. Because, you know,
uh, well,
and I feel
that's not all of me. That's not just me. I have more. There's more to me than that, right? So,
no, but I don't feel offended by it. I mean, I feel flattered,
yes. Uh huh.
and I go,
Absolutely.
actually, okay, then I'm doing something right, then, right?
Right.
Uh, and that gives me motivation to keep doing it. But it's like I mean, I've met a lot of guys that have been in this for a long time. I mean, a lot of older school guys, and they told me, "Don't worry about your style. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, and eventually it'll come out by itself. Don't worry about that. Everybody starts with somewhere."
Yeah.
And
Right.
I'm, okay. And I think a lot of people, I don't know, they try to focus too much on their own, trying to find their own style. Like, I'm trying to find I'm more concerned about technique and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's you make a great point because I think a lot of artists they get so wrapped up in like I got to find my style, I got to find my style, and
Right.
not knowing that your style will develop in time, right? And
Right.
if you're not so wrapped up in trying to like come up with something that's just supposedly uniquely you, which is another thing too. It's like uh, a style is kind of like an amalgam of all the influences and things that you've kind of
Right.
like experienced as an artist. It's your own journey, and so it's like your style will just naturally come from that. The only thing that I think would be a detriment to that whole thing is that if you are so obsessed with like okay, we're just going to use Adam Hughes as an example. If you're so obsessed with like becoming the next Adam Hughes, even if you become that, like that, you get good at doing that, you will never be as good as Adam Hughes. You'll only be known as the guy or the girl that can do an Adam Hughes style. And what I like
Right.
about what you just said is that it's flattering that people liken your artwork to Adam Hughes, but you look at it as like I'm learning techniques. That happens to be a phase in my artistic journey where I'm taking lessons. I'm practicing, looking at Travis Charest. I'm looking at Adam Hughes. I think
Right.
we talked about the pre-show. You mentioned that you were a big fan of like Barry Windsor Smith,
Oh
Joe
yeah.
Mad, and when I was listening, when I was reading it, I was like, yeah, your style isn't Joe Mad, but you looked at Joe Mad, you see what works with him, and you can still appreciate it and work that into your, learning techniques. But you don't have to be obsessed with like, hey, I does my artwork look like Joe Mad? No, my artwork looks like Lobos, and that's the
No,
important thing.
like I said, I had some earlier stuff that did look like Joe Mad,
Mm-hmm.
just learning, but that was a long time ago. Like I said, I
Right.
was just the influence. But the thing, Mustafa, like again, Mustafa, he tells people like, that I was drawing like Joe Mad before Joe Mad was drawn like that. And that was like my high school days.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, I like
Oh,
Joe Mad. That's he.
you were
That
drawing Joe
was,
Mad before Joe Mad was drawing Joe Mad.
that's the most I was on. Like, when you see my stuff from back then, like that's the style I was going with the black and white, right? Just to
Right.
kind of make it fit. But like I said, I was never happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I like it, but it's like that was not me. It's just so different.
Yeah, and I think that you kind of like learned from that part in your artistic journey, like, hey, well, I took what I learned from studying Joe Mad, and now I'm moving on and studying other artists.
Let's see.
And so, like, talking about your style, I mean your process here. You mentioned that you focus in on the joints. Like, is that something like when you're building the shapes? Is it's
Yes.
when you're talking about the joints? Is that sort of like you really want to make sure that things feel connected? Oh yeah, that looks great. That looks great. Um,
Yes. Well, I like to when I say joints, like I want to articulate as much as I can because it gives the more you articulate the joints and twisting them and bending them, right? It gives them
right,
more of a live feel for the figure you're drawing instead of that stiff look of the figure. So when I say focus on the joints and it's just twisting this way and that way, whatever, right?
right.
Um,
It's like making sure the joints convey the gesture, right,
right.
of the illustration or the figure.
I try to bend them as much as I can, and twist.
And I think that's another thing I think that's a really important thing that you just mentioned here is like twisting and because it's like especially like I don't know if you've heard of it's like the torso twist, right? Most
Right.
artists when they first starting, and I'm guilty of this too, is that you're when you're focusing on the anatomy, you get to the point where it's like, oh, I got to draw the pectorals here. This is where the rib cage is. This is where the six pack would go, and then going on into the lower, crotch area, and this is where the legs connect. But in the process of like of rendering that anatomy and thinking of how the muscles are on there, it ends up being kind of like almost like a static illustration because you're programmed to think six pack here, and but you don't think about how if you just do a simple torso twist, it adds so much more realism and more of a gesture to the
Yeah.
illustration than just doing that straight up anatomy. Do you agree? Is that
Yes.
something that you?
Yes. I mean, yeah. I try to focus more on like I said, in the posing of the body instead of the anatomy first, right? I'm not too.
Yes, that's a good.
I'm not. I'm not too worried about the anatomy right now. It's just more like the actual feel, the pose and everything. And then, like I said, a lot of the anatomy can be hidden by clothes anyway, so I'm not too worried about being if this ribs in the right place or this certain muscle in the right place. It's gonna be covered anyways. It's just
Yes. Hmm.
getting the actual pose, the feel of it. And like I said, and after that, you just gotta make it look like an arm. You just gotta make it look round, right?
Hmm.
Or the legs, you gotta make it look, it's just like a cylinder shape. It's just shade it, give highlights where you want to put highlights and wrinkles where you gotta put wrinkles,
Yeah, I think
And
that's a
sometimes,
brilliant. What you just said is brilliant because if you focus, you should know anatomy. I'm not going to discount that you need to know anatomy. You need to know muscles and things
right,
like that. Oh, we lost your camera again. Oh, there it is. I got it back. Um,
okay,
but what you said is so important is because if you know the anatomy, if you know how to get the gesture down, um, it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna be covered up by clothes anyway. And it's but your mind will fill in the blanks. It's like you kind of know that this is the way the form should look like if you see them, if you know the anatomy, and even to a layperson, they'll be able to understand. It's like, oh, the anatomy is all wrong. Even if, but what you just mentioned is like sort of focus on the gesture, the attitude, the line of action, being able to capture that first, and then work your illustration around it, render around that. Is that kind of like how your mentality
yes.
is in terms? Yeah.
So what I'm doing now is like, I don't know if you can see it here or not, but you see the forearm and the arm. You see all the low
Yes.
lines, all the low
Yes.
lines. That's
Yes.
me just drawing lines to guide me the twisting of the arm, you know. And that when I drew, she's wearing a jacket, so when I draw the jacket over it, I know which what direction the wrist is going to go to give that twist
Yes.
look, you know.
Yes. Totally get that. And was this something? I mean, obviously I mean, not obviously, but you had mentioned about when you were younger, you used to do a lot of more realistic style illustration. So do you
Right.
really do you rely on that that gestural style, that that realism? You find that since you did all that stuff, it allows you to easily do like these like more comic style versus realistic style. This knowledge that
Well,
you've gained since you were
well,
like in grade
the
school.
realistic part of it that what I take away from that is the shading part. The shading.
Oh, okay. The
It's the shading.
lighting and shading. Yep.
The posing and stuff like that. I got that from the comics, just
Hmm.
because when I was doing you do interior work like panels like that, you got to tell stories, so you have to learn how to figure draw with that. Having to look at references like that, because I mean, you do. I mean, that's another thing about using references. Yeah, it's great to use them, right?
Uh-huh.
But don't let it consume you, because you're never gonna finish a drawing. Like I said, it's the same thing with visual. There's so many right now. It's so easy to go into the internet and find all kinds of pictures and everything to use.
Hmm.
Try to draw it out of your head first, right? As much as you
Yes.
can, and then use references afterwards, and try to find something that matches something. It has to be exactly, but just enough where you get to perfect that one area you have a problem with, right?
Hmm.
And that's why if I run into a problem with, like, say, if I drew an arm a certain way that I never drawn before, a certain angle, I try to draw as much as I can out of my, from my mind. And if it doesn't look right, something's off, then I go into the internet and look for some pictures for that
Yeah.
angle.
Right.
I'll give my wife to post me. Hey, can you post real quick? Let me take a picture of your arm, right?
That's the good thing of having a wife that can help you out in terms of giving you those references. But I think
Right.
that's cool. I like what you just mentioned here, because you mentioned that it's important to use references, but not like overly rely on it. And I think that as
Don't start off with
artists,
them. No, I don't start off with them.
yeah,
That's what. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's what it is that use because I think what you're talking about too is you should definitely be familiar with what you're drawing, and that's where references, as you build that. I've heard this from another artist. I forgot. I think it was Kim Jung-gi. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a
Yes.
really talented Korean artist, and a lot of interviews that I've watched with him is that it almost seems like he doesn't use visual references, because he'll do a lot of live things where it's a blank wall, like it'd be a huge wall, and he'll just start drawing these epic mural style things, and it looks like it's completely integrated. Like everything was like it's like when I first saw his artwork, I was like, there has to be like a thin, like really barely seeable like pencil line that doesn't get picked up by the camera, and that because there's
Right.
no way that he could do these things, because it's not even like it's like one figure that is off to the side. It's like all of the figures and even architecture. It looks like it's completely integrated, all put together. And the truth of the matter is, like when they asked him, it's like, how do you do this? And well, he's obviously he's a prodigy, of course. But the way that he sort of says that when he was growing up,
Mm-hmm.
he was programming his visual reference brain bank. I don't know if that's the correct way to say it, but basically he was constantly looking at because he didn't have the internet like like you and I back when he was growing up, but he'd be looking at magazines, he'd be looking at things that are out in the world, and he would be practicing it, and he would be storing it in his head. So like when we Google something for a reference, Google is his brain. He has so much visual reference in his head that he's able to rotate it, turn things upside down, invert it, and
Right.
his muscle memory is just able to do that. Is just get that out there. And I think that's what you're talking about too. You had years of drawing when you didn't have the internet. You didn't have all these like fancy tools, or like you said, you oh gosh, I'm going to add some more time because we were just getting into this conversation. But pretty much it's like had to build your own visual memory bank, and that's what's coming out right now. Is like so you can pull a lot of these images from your head, right, in terms of what you're
Right.
drawing.
And like I said, just don't like I said, if it's not perfect, don't worry. I mean, just keep going, and pushing it. And if you don't like the first sketch, like I said, you like parts of the sketch, but not the whole sketch, just parts of it. You know,
Uh-huh.
perspective and trace it, and keep the ones that you like. You know, so
Yeah, I think that's an important lesson too. Is that it sounds like you didn't give in to frustration. I know that when I was drawing when I was younger, I think I probably threw more pieces of paper in the trash can than I ever kept in a sketchbook or anything like that because and that would be it. I would that would be my practice. I'd get frustrated and then just walk away and not draw again. And it sounds like for you, you would your process is like you know you, obviously when you went to these cons and you didn't have a professional portfolio, but you kept your sketches, you kept your artwork, right? And you
hmm
just kept on the muscle memory, kept on drawing on drawing, and that's how you honed your craft, right? You
right.
never gave up or gave into that frustration.
Yeah, 'cause I see it as more like this, like um, I'm learning, right? And
Yes. Mm.
and I feel like I can forgive myself for anything that doesn't look right. Like people
So
want
we
to
were
buy it,
talking.
and I'm
I
never
mentioned some.
satisfied.
Oh,
Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead. What were you saying?
So like, I'm never really satisfied for with a drawing, even till now. Like I'm never satisfied. I think I could have done this and that, right?
Hmm.
But I should move on to the next drawing and try to apply what I learned from the last drawing, right?
Yes, yes, that's the thing.
And like I said, I feel like I'm still learning a lot. I don't, like I said, I don't have that many drawings. And I've been like me being a marvelous like that. I never in a million years expected that it will be this soon. Like it'll be like 5 years from now. Something like that. And like man, you're catching me in a phase where I'm still trying to learn how to draw this stuff. You know?
Mhm. Hey, well, you hide it well because I don't think that the stuff that I look at. It doesn't look like it's you learning. It looks like you're already executing on a level that's just so professional.
So another thing that I see at with drawings with composition, right?
Hmm.
Try to balance it out as much as you can, right? Of course, right? When I
Yeah.
was drawing this figure, I was kind of like I had the hammer over here, her big old hammer. Let me can see. Let me see if I could draw a bit darker. Yeah, just see her hammer right there.
Hmm.
So it was kind of throwing the drawing off balance, just being all on this side.
Uh-huh.
So what I did,
But you'll.
I
Mhm.
drew the hair flowing this way to balance it out. So now you
Yeah.
have this balance going like this, right?
Hmm. And of course, you
Huh.
can always fix that when you bring it back to your light board and like
Right,
reposition things if you have to, right? Yeah.
right. So anyways, this is my loose sketch. This is what I draw. And,
Okay. I'm gonna let you maybe take another 5 minutes.
okay.
Maybe talk about like I don't know what your next steps are in terms because you talked about balance and things like that. One thing that I noticed too about like a mistake that I make and that I've been trying to be conscientious about is like you mentioned that hammer and you mentioned joints and like things like that. It's sometimes when you look at when I look at my art or look at other people's art, that up and coming artists, is that when the figure is holding up an object, especially something as massive as that Harley Quinn mallet, is
Oh yeah.
is having the figure kind of reflect that there is a weight to it. Like there's a it's like you can draw like a Red Sonja character, like
hmm
I've used in one of our banner arts. She's holding the sword, but
Right.
if she's holding like this big battle axe, you have to like make it look like there's some physical exertion, a little or a
Right.
weight to whatever object. So like when you're drawing props or that your characters are holding, is that something that you are always thinking about in terms of like making it feel like there's a weight to objects that are actually with a figure?
So yes, I try to apply that. You know, like you ever seen that they've drawn with the She-Hulk pick up that car, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like in reality, if a human actually picked up a car from the bottom, that that car will kind of bend, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
frame will bend, and I will try to apply something like that. Like if I draw She-Hulk, the car from the sides would be bending, with the frame be bending or something because of the weight.
Right.
Or kind of like where Superman's stopping the train and the train is just still intact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you put that kind of that point load of weight in two hands, it's gonna go right through it, right? Unless you got some kind
Exactly.
of right,
Uh-huh.
unless you have some kind of actual field around the whole train but you put your hand that does it, and it grabs the whole train like a sling, right? But
Mm-hmm.
but little things like that, I would add it. You know, if I would draw Superman holding the train, I would see like the front of the train kind of like crushing, right?
Right.
Just to give it that, like you said, give it that extra weight. But yeah, I mean, like right now, holding the hammer, she's picking it up, right? I would draw her fist kind of like real tight, you know, she's picking it up. Uh, but yeah, all that
So
you got to consider all this stuff. But like I said, I don't worry too much about that in the beginning. It's more like I
uh-huh.
said, it's just the overall composition, and then later on, then when I start drawing the actual costume and everything, the details, like you said, the holding the hand, making it real tight, like she's holding the hammer.
Right.
Uh,
So
um,
like how yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this up right now. I wanted people to look at this. But how could you give some insight in terms of like how long it takes you to do a commission? Like here we are, it sounds like you got the rough down right here. So like how many hours or do you think it would take to take this to the finished piece where it's ready to go to inking and then the Copics and to give to the person that's commissioned it? Do you have like a is it like a per project type thing, or do you have it kind of down to like, oh, it's going to take me, to do this kind of pinup commission? It's going to take me like 10 hours, 20 hours, or
well,
what is your
it used to, but I'm getting faster now. So this one, I knock it out about 3 4 hours max. It was
oh, in
shaded
three or
and
four hours? Oh
yeah,
my
shaded
gosh!
and
Yeah.
everything, ink
Uh-huh.
shaded. Uh,
Wow.
if it was just
So you
pencils,
basically
if it was
uh-huh.
just pencils, I had a couple hours, you know.
Yeah.
But then I,
So you've
but
definitely
added,
got the art
what?
down, and I mean the speed down in terms of like being able to get that done quickly. Well, I mean, to me, it's like I look at your artwork and I go, man, he must have spent at least 20 hours on this. But I guess that's not cost effective if you have to spend 20 hours on a
I,
commission.
s-
Uh,
I don't think I'm fast enough. I mean, I see some
uh,
people they're quick. I mean, I draw
yeah.
real sketchy, and like I said, I still got to go clean it up and everything. But
Hmm.
I see guys that they can just draw something and it's already looking good without even have to go back and erase anything. Like,
I
that's
think
how we,
speed,
yeah.
yeah,
Like
speed will come with time.
like the guy you were talking about, like uh, the Korean artist.
Oh,
Uh,
Kim Jung Gi. Yeah.
you go straight to two inks, right?
Yeah, exactly. The guy is crazy good. He's crazy good. But you are crazy good as well. And I'm glad that we got to see this. So I'm gonna wrap this up. So hey, could you put your art piece
Sure.
like make it, yeah, put it in front of the camera. I want everybody to kind of look at
This
this.
camera, or
And
the other camera.
yeah, well, I want our audience to really just appreciate, because right now it's very rough, and I would love if later on, Lobos, if you could, once you get the finished commission piece, if the person that commissioned it is okay with it, I would love to see the final piece. I don't know if you want to post that on social media or if you want to
Yeah,
share
push
it.
it up.
I would love to post that on in the Comics Cast page to let people know what the finished product is, because you got to see the initial magic happen. This is where you got to see him lay down his lines, how he thinks about putting down those joints, balancing it out. You could see that I look at this and I can already see the foundation is so it's so there in the sense of like being able to see where the figure is going. I've seen your finished artwork and I look at this and I just can't wait to see what the next level is going to be like. But I think the foundation is is the most important thing, because you can have the most expertly rendered piece of artwork, But if the foundation is weak, that's okay. Yeah, if it's weak, it won't look good. Oh, there he is. Okay. All right. Okay, so fantastic work. So, like I said, if the person who commissioned it, if they're okay with it, I'd love to see what that final piece looks like. And let me look at the comment field here because I want people to. I know people might have commented while we were drawing. Okay, so we had Aurelis who said here it's like now the magic begins. Yeah, so we definitely got to see that. Of course, she mentioned that he's frozen. I think that was either you or me. We were frozen at one time. Aurelis sort of said here, is cheesecake style really a thing? Maybe I'm dated in terms of that because I was, when I first started my art journey, or when I got older and I looked at like pinup style artwork, I just sort of put all that, this particular genre, this particular style, and I just labeled it cheesecake style. Which to me, I'm not exactly sure where that came from. Lobos, do you know why it's called cheesecake? I just
I know it's back in the 50s. Came from the 50s.
yeah.
That's what they use. I forgot exactly why, but it's whenever they had those bombshell drawings and everything.
Yes.
That's what it
Yeah.
called.
Yeah, I remember that there was some history behind it,
Yeah.
and it's sort of like that pinup style sort of like came to its own.
Yeah.
Let's see what other comments we have here. Um, Maverick says, agree with your assessment. Gerald Motos, definitely tasteful sexiness. Yes. That's how I'm going to say that your artwork, Lobos, is. It's tasteful sexiness. So I don't know, that maybe that plays into the whole cheesecake and
Well,
food. I have no idea, but it's
that's some good
tasteful.
advice from people about staying away from complete nudity. Just go stay away from it.
Oh, yeah. And I think that I think it's a personal choice that every artist needs to make. But to me, it's like part of the tasteful sexiness thing that Maverick mentioned is it's kind of like you can the artistry is in what you don't see. It's like you reveal enough that your mind fills in the blanks, and it's tasteful enough so you don't have to cross that line in terms of having to resort to things. And I've obviously in nudity in art. I mean, heck, art history, when we study art history and and learn anatomy, we see that. But there is a line in terms of like lewdness versus tasteful sexiness. So do you see, just since that question came up, do you see yourself crossing that line, or is this as far as you go?
As far as I go, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not gay. That's not my thing. My thing is comics, and to me, comics is people from all ages read it,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
keep it to that audience.
Yeah, and you also have a mini Lobos to think about. So
Right.
it's like you want to set a I guess your own personal
Nothing
example
against
as a
it, but it's just not me. There's nothing
Yeah,
against it.
right.
Some people like that. That's fine, but that's not me. That's not like, in other words, what would I buy? Would I buy
Yeah.
this?
Uh-huh.
No, I wouldn't.
Mm,
So I'll try to draw something I would buy.
right. Hey, and I just we were talking about Mustafa so much. He happened to pop in here. Uh, is that the great and
Yeah,
mighty Lobos?
yeah. Right
So
there.
so Mustafa, we've heard a lot about you. In fact, I think there's several people in the stream that sort of said we need Mustafa in our life. I think we need a T-shirt that says we need Mustafas in our life, because it sounds like he's been a great friend to you, and like I said, a catalyst for many of the things that happened in your career. Let's see. We also, okay, we have some people that drew along with us. Let me pull that up. Let me go to the art page. So while we're doing that, I don't know if you want to like give a shout out to Mustafa. well, hopefully he's still on there. But I have this image of who Mustafa is. Like he's like this great figure that sort of says, "And Lobos, you will do this."
The Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda. So if you called him Yoda, would he find that as a compliment, or would he think that's would he think that's a
He's younger than me. So,
Well, okay, so I'm trying to think what young character. I'm trying to think in movies or in media, like what young character comes across as somebody who's older and wiser, but is younger too. I think that might just be it. We're just gonna have to say Mustafa. There's Yoda, and then there's Mustafa. So, So I'm pulling down some of this artwork to share, to show you the people that drew. Oh my gosh, these are some really nice ones. While we're talking about that, aside from Mustafa as being that person that kind of like pushed you, who are your other influences? We mentioned Barry Windsor Smith, Adam Hughes, Joe Mad. Who else is like if you had to mention today? Let me rephrase that. If you had to mention today, who are your top 5 pencilers or artists in comics today?
So pencil, no, I don't know any new artists really.
Well, it can be older artists. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
people that influenced you
So
when you were younger.
for composition wise, will be Joe Quesada.
Yep.
Was Chris Bacalo,
Bachalo. Yep. Like him
Bacalo,
too.
right? Him.
Uh-huh.
Uh, for rendering wise, will be Adam Hughes,
Mm-hmm.
Travis Charest. Uh, even though I do like Adam Hughes' composition a lot, but like I say, he's more into the cheesecake type.
Uh-huh.
But the composition I like is like I said, the superhero stuff. Like I like the way Joe Quesada draws some compositions. I
Yeah.
do like his rendering, but I just think it's too dark for my taste. It's just very hard, black and white. Um, it's just you go. He doesn't try to blend it in. It's just like very hard black shadows.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
dark
Uh-huh.
shadows.
Oh yeah. You're saying that Quesada's style is not as there's not that transition. It's a
Right.
starkness. He does a very stark,
But
like this is the shadow and this is the light.
right. But I love his composition. I just love it.
Yeah. I love you're thinking about Joe Quesada. One of the things that really made an impact on me is when he did was it it was a Daredevil story that he did, and the story arc is escaping me. Shoot. But anyway, it's his sequentials. He tells a story like his panel work. I as a sequential, there's one thing where artists can be like really great pinup artists. But sequential storytelling artists, that's like
Right.
another category. And I think
Right.
Quesada has this, at least his earliest work, which I like his earlier work, where he would do these things where he could do phenomenal pinup style things, but then he would also do these panels, and his panels, the panel work was like art. It's like the way that he arranged the panels,
Right.
and
Yes.
it opened my mind to like a totally different storytelling. Is that the kind of like okay?
Yes.
So like yeah. So like,
Composition,
did you get
what I mean overall, interior, covers, whatever. It's just the way he composes the page is just great.
Yeah,
Just he has that eye. I just love it.
right?
I try to emulate as much as I can back then, but it's just
So hey,
and come
I wanted
go
to
on.
want to pop up a couple other comments here because this goes back to that cheesecake lewd conversation we had earlier. Marius or Maverick here chimed in. He says, "To me, Chris Hemsworth's butt in Love and Thunder was definitely leaning onto the lewd part." So I thought that was kind of funny. And here we got Mustafa who chimed in here. T-shirts and merchandise coming soon. So Mustafa, I think
See,
he's
you know what I mean? He's an entrepreneur.
yes, entrepreneur. Yes, he is. So yeah, we all need a Mustafa in our life. I think that was coined by Victor Ruffino here. So you might have to give a little bit of share some of those royalties with Victor Ruffino in our comment area. But speaking of that, so let's I got the artwork here ready to show. So let me share screen here. These we had 3 people that drew along with us here. So let me share this real quick. And of course they all happen to be, except for one, 2 of them are former guests, other creators that have been on the show. So lots of love to fellow creators here being on there. And of course the person that hasn't been on the show, I'm going to get him on the show eventually. So let's get this on here. So here we go. So this was done by the here we are getting some Brazilian representation. This is done by Rodolfo. And I'm amazed that he was able to do this in the 20 to 25 minute time frame, but very, very cool Harley Quinn. This was done by David Whalen, who's from Correct Handed Comics. Yeah, very dynamic, and I love his artwork. I mean, there's a bit of humor here into it. And of course it's Harley Quinn, so you have that sadistic humor in there. And then we have this one from Victor Ruffino. Nice running pose here with a gun. Uh, just very cool stuff. Did you have any comments? Let me put Rod's here. Did you have anything you want to talk about, or like what you think about this particular piece?
Well, I see he's trying to go for the realistic look also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looks great. I mean, like I said, it's just if for my drawing, I would like. I don't want to say how he does, but I would try to refine more of the edges to kind of
Yeah.
encapsulate everything into a package, right?
Right.
Like I said, like a thicker outline around the hair and everything, just kind of to bring everything together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's loose right now. I don't know if it's loose or he's finished with it, but like I said, it looks great to me. I mean, the shadows on the. I think has a lollipop.
Yeah. Yeah. I think all of your points are definitely, yeah, because you can see the outline of the lollipop there on her cheek.
Yes.
And I think it's like Rod is a very professional artist too, just like you.
Yeah.
I think that it's like one of those things. Is like in the 20 to 25 minutes, he was able to get this together. In fact, he mentioned to me, yeah, I was like talking to him. I said, hey, I got this great artist. I talked to him yesterday. I said it'd be great if you could be on the show. And I think today is a big day in Brazil because I think it's election day, or so. He was like saying, I'll see if I can make time for it. So I appreciate that Rod was able to do his version of Harley Quinn here. And David here, I don't know how he did it. He had time to put some inks on this as well.
For 25 minutes.
Yeah, well,
yeah, that's great.
I know. He's definitely a prolific artist in his own right, but it's just neat that he's able to do this. Do you have any thoughts on this? I think it's just great that he's able to draw along with us.
I think it captures the fun part of it, especially with your face here,
No, I just noticed that when
You just
as
have
we
the
were
Joker
talking
smile on her belt buckle.
yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah. Your power of observation is like beyond mine, and that's the reason why you have your visual brain bank full. It's like because you can definitely pick these things here, and of course we have Victor Ruffino's piece here, and this is definitely like a that comic style. I could see like this being on there, like she's running at you, and almost has like this Charlie's Angels vibe as Harley Quinn. So very cool stuff. All right, so let's move to the next part of the show. But before we do that, I'm going to share my little pathetic approach of drawing along with you. So hold on one moment. Let me see if I can find it here. All right, so this was my Harley Quinn, and I'm almost embarrassed because I am embarrassed. I should have paid attention to what you were saying and the joints and the line of action and all those things that we had talked about. But here we go. This was mine, and
ooh.
so yeah, exactly. Ooh, it's a little. It is rough, but I found myself listening to you, and I was like wanting to take notes in terms of like what I should think about when I'm drawing. And I like how you mentioned. I mean, people don't really think about the joint aspect. They think of line of action, and I like what you said about how you don't need to be so overly focused on the anatomy. Think about the gesture, think about the expression and the attitude, and then fill in the anatomy around that, the torso twists, the joints, and things like that. So I learned a lot just by listening to you. I'm gonna have to go back and revisit this and see where we can go from there.
Yeah,
So
I never focused on anatomy at the beginning ever. It's more like it's just overall shape and just like you said, like it's afterwards. Afterwards,
Yes.
if I get stuck, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's good because I think I'm gonna have to think of your when I'm doing a composition is thinking your approach to it, because you can go back in there, get that tight foundation, and then work in that anatomy. So we got a few other comments here. We got great art, y'all, from Maverick. Maverick is a great artist in his own right, but he says him being in the Philippines. Again, we had people from Brazil. We had a representation in our audience from the Philippines, which is 12 hours difference. It's like 2:45 in the morning, and he stayed up to watch you, Lobos, as well. Oh, I need to like turn off that alarm. All right, so we had. I'm looking at the comments, and I think Maverick apologized that he couldn't draw along with it, but that's okay. That's cool. All right, so we wrapped up our live drawing part of it, and trying to keep the conversation going while we're drawing, but it's sometimes kind of hard to like talk and draw at the same time. So, but I think you did a great job, Lobos. I'm looking forward to seeing what that final Harley Quinn commission piece looks like. But so now that we've done the live drawing, let's move to the part of the show which is just talking about where Lobos is presently, like what you're doing right now. We hinted, or at least I talked about your work with indie art, or indie creators, and and that was through how you went to cons. And I want to say it's like you did it the grassroots way. It's like you didn't bombard all these people with art samples. You just put your artwork out there on social media. You went to cons, and people came to you. And you've done. I looked. These are just some of the indie creator IPs that you've done work for. We have this title cracks me up: Muffy the Pimp Slayer. We also have Gun Honey, Patriotika, the Midnight Cafe, which was with Monty Moore. If people are familiar with that name, is another phenomenal artist. Rise of Dracula, and Severed Souls. So you've done all this artwork for indie creators, and that, like I said, it got your foot in the door for doing things. So like, what projects are you working on like right now, presently, that you can share, and then we're segue that into the future. What is Lobos doing in the future? So there are two big things: present, future.
What I'm working on right now, I cannot share. Yeah, I cannot share.
Yes.
It's all Marvel stuff. All Marvel covers that I'm doing right now. I can't show them because they haven't been out yet. So I think the first book's coming out for Marvel. The one I'm doing will be in December. And like I said, I gotta wait till December before I can use that. I'll post it on social media.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, everything that I'm working on is all Marvel based. Everything.
Oh, okay. I don't want to get you into trouble. So, but that basically, because if it is top secret, then it's top secret. But the important thing is that we got to see all of this artwork in the origin story, and it's so thrilling to hear your journey in terms of how you got discovered. I mean, what's going to stand out in my mind is that a Marvel portfolio review, and you send DC artwork through Mustafa to
Just real quick.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Let me show you the back of something.
Uh-oh. Do we got some good stuff? All right. Okay. I'm gonna turn on your art cam again, but I want to make sure nothing. Okay. Yeah. Make sure that nothing is under your art cam that can't be shown. Okay. All right. So anything that you want to share? Did you want to share some artwork that you can share, or?
Rather, I can't. Not that.
Oh, you can. Okay, no problem. I won't turn it on. Okay. So the future is basically you're working with Marvel now, and you can't really show that artwork. All we can say is that it's coming soon. Is that artwork going to be shown in the next in the next month, next 2 months, or when?
We'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
Next month.
Because I saw you. There was an announcement. The Mary Jane and Black Cat. You're going to be doing an alternate cover for that. Did they give a release date for when that's supposed to debut?
December 16th, I think.
Okay. So, just so you know, I'm gonna let me pop up your social media again. Hold on one second. Let me find it. Because I want to leave this up, and I want to tell people, don't go here yet. Just note it. Let me share that quick. Okay. All right. So you are working. You've done a lot of work with indie creators. You are going to be working with Marvel and DC. In terms of the future, we had a conversation like what I saw in the origin, or we all saw in the origin story, a lot of your pinup artwork, a lot of your artwork that was cheesecake and things like that. But wasn't seen was the sequential side of Lobos, and that's something that we talked about yesterday. you had some of your own personal goals in terms of the future. Did you want to talk about, because we kind of hinted at it, that you want your artwork to tell a story, and obviously you're a big fan of Joe Quesada and Barry Windsor Smith and Chris Bachalo. You want to talk a little bit about what the future, like what you would like to do in terms of sequentials? You want to
Well,
like
sure.
tease us with that? Uh-huh.
It's kind of ambitious, and I don't know. People think I'm crazy, but I would like to do like, hey, I want to have my own very own Kingdom Come type book.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Everybody, you heard it first here on Comics Cat, because I wanted him to say it. I didn't want me to say it. Uh, I back when I was I was in college at that point when Alex Ross, his version of where Kingdom Come came out, and I was like totally. Oh, do you have something that you want to show that's on your phone?
This show already.
Oh, okay. Do you want to show it again, or is it? Okay, let me solo out your screen. Okay, so what is that? I can't see what that is. So who is that? I can't see really clearly who that is. Because there's like a glare. Just give us some context to what that picture is.
Well, we talked about earlier. Uh, how do I put it? MJ.
Oh, Black Cat and MJ. That's what it was. I'm gonna have to zoom in after the show to see if I can see what that is. Oh, here he is, Lobos. He's the master of the tease. He basically just teased us with that. We don't want to get him in trouble in terms of like revealing more than he can or that he should. But let's get back to the Alex Ross thing. Alex Ross's Kingdom Come back in the late '90s. It rocked my world. It rocked the comic world. It was a completely painted comic that showed a version of Superman and the DC universe in the future that we'd never seen before. But the story was on point, but the art was just incredible. And Lobos has said it here on the show that he's gonna his ultimate goal, his bucket list, his thing that he most wants to do is to do his own style of Kingdom Come Lobos thing. So like, and you meant that literally. Like you kind of want to work for DC and do a storyline that's on that same level art wise as Alex Ross's Kingdom Come, right? Okay. I'm marking October 2nd, 2022. We heard it here. So when that happens, I'm going to say, yeah, I knew about it. This is what we were talking about. All right. So, okay. So, I guess we're going to start wrapping up the show here. And this is where I hand the mic back to you, Lobos. And I'd love for you to give us your Oscar speech. That's what we call this part of the show. And you don't have to worry about it. I'm not going to be Will Smith and reach across the screen and slap you, or you do the same thing. You're not going to go there and like, hey, Gerald, shut up, slap me or whatever. But this is where I give the mic back to our guests. And they basically, just like an Oscar speech, you give your thank yous, your shout outs, any of your final thoughts. To me, this is an important part because I really want our guests to like. This is their opportunity to really show their appreciation to where they're from, where they came from, and what they're doing. So, Mike, is he back in your hand? I'm going to solo out your cam. Lobos, give us your Oscar speech.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone who supported me, who's I guess who believed in me. Like I said, I was never ready for this. It's been a crazy past few months, and never expected it ever to be this quick. But thank you. Like I said, and I just feel committed for that to you guys. Whoever supported me, I'm there. You believe in me, I'm gonna commit to you guys. So I'm gonna do my best every time I can. And like I said, I want to thank my family, my wife, supported me. Of course, my parents, and the guys at my old job that I had. I mean, I miss them guys. Thank you to them also. Mustafa.
Mustafa!
He's always been pushing me and asking me and nagging me. He never stopped. Of course, the guys that I met back in Philly, all these publishers, the guys that gave me a chance, and like I said, thank you. It's like Darren from Unknown Comics, John from 616 Comics, Jamie Tyndall, um, all these guys, of course, people from Zenoscope, uh, ZB Sane, all these indie comic guys that came out, and Jay, they gave a chance on me, took a chance on me for a cover, and of course, like I said, I want to do more, and because of you guys, you helped me get to where I'm at so far, and it's more than I expected so far. I mean, and thank you to everybody.
That is a great Oscar speech, and I just want to put things into final context of what Lobos has said. Is that I think you're on a rocket ship. You're on a rocket ship. You're leaving Earth's atmosphere. You're shooting for the stars, because you mentioned your early drawing career when you're in elementary school, going up through high school, and then you abandoned it. I mean, not abandoned it. You just sort of put it in the back seat. You decided to focus on your career, your family, and it was only because of Mustafa who kind of reawakened this passion in you, because you already had it. But that has only happened so quickly. I think it's what we can say, that was around 2015 to 2018. You kind of well, I'm going to start drawing a little bit more. And then it wasn't until the last 2 years, 2020 up into 2022, that you started getting cover work and people coming to you doing all these commissions. So really, your career, to me, at least you can correct me, it looks like the trajectory of your career, at least as an artist, it's just been happening in the last 2 years. And you've gone from going to cons to as a attendee to being an exhibitor at cons. And
I see that. Okay. I see it since April this year.
April of this year. Oh, so you are on a rocket ship. You're on a meteor, and that's amazing. That it's really these opportunities that have been presented to you just this year. But it's by no means reflects on somebody who just didn't earn it or didn't work at it. You've always been drawing. You've had a passion for drawing. No, I'm saying that yeah, you've always been that artist. It's just that people hadn't seen that artwork yet.
Right.
And now it's they say that to be a professional or to be an expert at anything, you have to put that 10,000 hours into it. You put that 10,000 hours into it. And that's why I saw your artwork and I said, I got to reach out to this guy because I want him on the show. I want him to tell his story. And I want to be one of the guys that said, I know Lobos before he became Adam Hughes or Joe Quesada or whatever. He's going to be known as Lobos, just as Lobos. And Minnie Lobos, she has much to be proud of her father, and I'm so proud and happy and honored that you were my guest. So that being said, we end the show with one thing or one other thing. So let me pull that up real quick. Let me bring that up, and that is kind of a shout out to a organization that we are not financially tied to, but we are very proud to be affiliated with. So let me go into the chat field. I'm going to drop the link here, and that is goldenfight.org. They're a charity organization that I like to call big enough and small enough at the same time. Small in the sense that they are not a nationwide organization. They actually focus in a mid-Atlantic region of the United States, my neck of the woods. And that allows them to be big in this sense. What they do is they help raise money, or they raise money for families who have children that are going through difficult illnesses like cancer. And when they are focusing on the healing of their child, eventually they will experience financial difficulties, and that's where Golden Fight comes in. And they are huge. They are big in this respect because I used to think that of the money they raise, 97, 98%, that would go to the families, and they would have to keep maybe 1, 2, 3% to take care of the administrative things, the things that have to do with running a charity. But I was wrong. 100% of the money they raise goes to families. The leadership does this. They're doing it voluntarily. a lot of they take no money from this because they have a heart and they have a passion for helping families and the healing of these children. So, like I said, we are not financially tied to them in any way. Please check out gold.org if you want to check out a really above board charity, and if it is within your means to help an organization. Check out Golden Fund. It could be a good fit for you. But they're a class act, and we encourage you to check them out. So let me get rid of this real quick and go back to our two screens here. I want to thank you, Lobos, for being my guest. I want to thank our audience, especially the David Whalen and Rod Rodolfo and Victor Ruffino and Maverick and all of our people in the audience, Relis, that drew or commented along. So you could hear the great creative journey that's so inspirational. I mean, talk about it. April of this year to where we are here in October. Lobos, it's amazing to hear your story. I'm always going to get a chuckle about that con thing. And of course, you haven't been taken to the principal's office when you were like in first grade and being accused of having your parents draw your artwork. Those are just classic stories that I'll always remember. And I'm going to say that you are welcome on the show again. I would love to have you here again to talk more about what you're doing. And let me pull up your social media one more time. So now, if you're in our audience, you can go visit him and like and follow him on Instagram. I'm going to encourage Lobos to do his own YouTube channel, to start doing things like that. And who knows, maybe you'll be doing your own animations and Netflix specials. And I'm looking forward to your Lobos version of Kingdom Come. I think that's going to happen. Look for that in the next, I don't know, couple years, 5 years, 10 years. I have no idea, but it's going to happen. Okay. All righty.
Yeah,
so that being said,
to do that.
Yeah, he needs the time to do that. But it's like I said, you're on a rocket ship, man. I can't wait to see what you do next. Comics Cast, we're going to be signing out right now. We're going to try and get back on some, a regular schedule so you can see us every Sunday. Check out our Facebook and our YouTube pages, video archives to see other Let It Out shows with phenomenal artists that I've been so thankful and honored to interview. Check that out. Of course, on demand, you'll be able to see Lobos's appearance here on the show today. So that being said, this is Gerald. I'm signing out. Keep on drawing, and see us next week on Comics Cast. Let It Out. See you later. Bye-bye.